Hello everyone, I'm Kamal Asghar. I'm pursuing master program in chemistry from South Korea. And in this talk, I will giving a short presentation about scholarship guideline for graduate program in Korean universities. And of course, I wanna start my talk with a very noble quote of Hazrat Imam Ali alayhi salam. Don't impart the same education to your children as you did to yourself, because they are not born for your time. And then I have categorized my talk in this session into different contents. First of all, I will talk about different types of scholarship in South Korea, either in the form of KGSP, university scholarship, professor funding, or university scholarship plus professor funding. And then I will talk about documents requirement for taking admission in South Korean universities, either for undergraduate or graduate program. And then I will give a short presentation about resume, how to make a resume, and what parameters are mentioned inside the resume. And then English proficiency test, either in the form of IELTS, TOEFL, or English proficiency certificate sometime from your department. And then ETS, it's a testing service like our graduate program, GRE, JET, and GMAT. And then question answer session, in which you can directly ask questions, or you can type your questions in text form in the comment section. Now I will talk about factors effective in gaining scholarship. There are many factors for winning scholarship, any type of scholarship, either a government scholarship, international scholarship, university scholarship. So we cannot say that if you have good CGPA, then you can get any type of scholarship. It's wrong, because winning a scholarship depends upon many things, like if you have some research experience, some projects in your undergraduate program, and how much you are motivated to win the scholarship, and also sometimes your luck. So I just uh, randomly and roughly categorize in a percentage form. Your CGPA matters 30% according to my imagination, and then your research experience, if you have done some research in your undergraduate program, if you have done some project in your undergraduate, then it may matter like 30%. And then how much time you are spending to getting and to gathering the information and spending time and watching some videos related to scholarships. So it's 20%, and then 20% how much you are motivated to get a scholarship for higher education or for your master or PhD program. Now, there are 4 types of scholarship common in South Korea. First one is KGSP. KGSP is short form of Korean Government Scholarship Program. So it's very highly competitive scholarship and very prestigious. Uh, the student across the world try to gain this KGSP scholarship, and mostly undergraduate students comes to Korea on this KGSP scholarship, maybe from Uzbekistan, European countries, African countries. So students across the world will try to get this scholarship. And then the second type of scholarship in Korea is a professor's funding, in which professors pays your tuition fees and professor pays your monthly stipend to do some research under his supervision. And then university scholarship is third type of scholarship in Korea, in which university pays your tuition fees and even university pays some stipend for you. And the last one is university scholarship plus professor funding, in which both university and professors pays your tuition fees and give some stipend for you. Now, the first and most important scholarship is Korean Government Scholarship, shortly KGSP, very famous scholarship across the world. It has some unique characteristics which differentiate this scholarship to other types of scholarship. So I want to mention those characteristics. First is that if you get Korean government scholarship, then you have to spend your first year while learning Korean language, and you don't need to pay for learning Korean language because Korean government pays these all things. So you will be able to talk, you will be able to write, listen, and read Korean language within 1 year, and even you can take Korean your classes in Korean language. So this is very nice thing of this scholarship. And it's like another characteristic of this scholarship is Korean government pay your round trip flight tickets from your home country to Korea and then from Korea to your home country. Of course, if you want to go back to your home country before finishing your degree program, then you need to pay your flight ticket. And then there is no entrance fees, no admission fees, no tuition fees, because these all type of fees are waived by Korean government. And in this type of scholarship, you will be able to visit some cultural place, historical place, and you will get opportunity to talk some international student, to have a dinner with some international students, and sometimes you will get some events and opportunities which are held by Korean government. So you will get all these types of opportunities. And housing supports, some supports for your housing, your rents are paid by Korean government sometime, but after how long they will pay, it's not specific. And in another last important thing is that they pay you some attractive stipend and incentives. You can see in this box that 9,000 Korean won, almost 1,60,000 Pakistani rupees, are paid for undergraduate students, and 10 lakh or 1 million Korean won for graduate students. Graduate students mean master and PhD students. So there is no tuition fee, no entrance fee, but this is monthly stipends, which is very nice stipend. And the second type of scholarship in South Korea is a professor funding. A professor have a project, so he wants to take students across the world to work under his supervision in his laboratory. So there are some characteristics of this type of scholarship, which is called professor funding scholarship. I want to talk about these 4 characteristics of this scholarship. First of all, mostly if you come on professor funding scholarship, either for engineering or social science like chemistry, physics, math, computer science, or engineering like mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and electronics, IT, all these type of engineering. The minimum salary for master's students is around 8 lakh Korean won, 800,000, and for PhD student 1.2 million or 1.2 million or 12 lakh Korean. And its salary is negotiable. This is not a fixed, this is minimum salary. Some professor gives 1 million for master student, 1.2 million for master students, and sometimes professor gives 1.8 million for PhD, and sometimes 1.4. It's up to professor, and you should talk about professor about these things. And then salary is negotiable, it's not fixed. And mostly IELTS are required for these things, because when first time you talk to professor, you send your email, and then professor definitely ask you about your IELTS scores or your IELTS band. And sometimes there are each lab has lab captain, and the lab captain will directly talk to you about your IELTS. So it's up to professor whether he will ask for IELTS or not. Sometimes they ask for your transcript and your degree and other. And sometimes they may ask for your research experience. And the last thing is easy process. It's easier as compared to Korean government scholars. But I forget to mention one thing, that in Korean government scholars, you don't need to give the IELTS exam. So it's very easy process. Just you have to convince your professor, and then your professor, if your professor give you positive response, then definitely you can easily proceed other university formalities and admission process. And the second thing is the required documents for Korean admission, Korean universities. First of all, you should make a resume or CV, good quality resume. And then you have to appear for IELTS. In your last semester or final year, you should appear in IELTS, and then you at least try to get good grades in IELTS. And then your all degrees and your all transcript, your certificates must be verified from different institutions. It's up to different countries because Korean governments have different rules for different countries. In case of Pakistan, Korean governments, if you are coming to Korean universities, then you should verify your certificates and transcript degree from your university first, and then HEC, Higher Education Commission, and then Ministry of Foreign Affairs or MOFA, and then at embassy or Korean embassy. The order should be like this. And for other countries, maybe their criteria and rules are different. And the fourth documents you need high school and senior high school, your certificates, mark sheets, and other. And fifth one is bank statement of 18,000 US dollar on your name, because this bank statement is not necessary for Korean government scholarship, just for professor funding. Because in professor funding, professor is paying your tuition fees, your monthly stipend, but university don't care about that. So university needs some guarantee about your financial stability. Therefore, you should present 18,000 US dollar in your account, which is almost 828 lakh Pakistani rupees. And then your passport is most important thing. Without your passport, you cannot apply for application, and even you sometimes you cannot apply for IELTS. So passport is necessary for IELTS and your admission application form and other. And then two recommendation letters from your respective department of your university, from either from professor or associate professors, in which they should mention about your CGPA and some positive comments on your performance during your undergraduate program. And then medical certificate, it's necessary for when you are applying for visa, and then you should submit your tuberculosis test into Korean embassy. And of course, sometime they may ask for polio also. This is just one sample which I want to show you that after verifying your cert degree and transcript from different institutions, this is back side of my degree and back side of my transcript. It looked like this. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Higher Education Commission, University, and here of Korean Embassy. So your degree look like this. Now I will talk about resume, how to make a resume, what parameters are mentioned inside your resume. First of all, you should write your name and your address, your personal details, your date of birth, your name, your passport number, and IELTS score. So this is just your introduction, not that much important that you will get scholarship just based on this personal detail section. Of course, you will not get. And then the educational detail, like in descending order, the most recent degree on top, and then in the descending order, SSC or high school degree at the end of this section. And then if you have some skills and expertise related to your department, you are a chemistry student, then you must have some techniques, or you have expertise on some using some tools like spectroscopy, Raman spectroscopy, FTIR spectroscopy, microanalysis, these things. So you should mention all those techniques and skills you can do. And then research experience. Write your, if you have some research paper, just mention the name of research paper and the journal in which your research paper is published, and some other research experience if you have done but you didn't yet not publish yet. So you can mention those things here. And then conference and internship work experiences. You can add the number of conferences you have attended, number of internships in descending order. And you should note about that all these sentences are in this alignment, same alignment, in the same line. There should be this should be in an organized way. And then if you have some awards and achievements, then mention your all awards and achievements during your undergraduate, during your senior high school, or school, anything extracurricular activities. And if you have some other qualification, you can speak more than 2 languages, then you can mention all languages here. And then computer skills, if you have some special programming language and other softwares you can use, then you can mention here. And then interest, what things, this interest part, generally you have to mention your interest in extracurricular activities. You don't need to mention some educational or academic things, just extracurricular activities, games, and reading novels, fictions, and other. And at the end, a reference is written. So this is one of the famous scientists and professor, Norsko I just put here, Ars idea, that you can see that he mentioned even where this small region is for his personal detail and all other things are for awards, achievement, lectureship, research, and professional activities. And this is very simple, just white background. We don't need to make colors sentence or color words. Just make simple and white background. And when you make a CV, you should write something with your email to your professor. So you should write in this order, not in this way, because in this way they have, for example, a candidate send email to many professor at the same time in the same email. So it definitely all professor can see email of other professor that this guy sent this email to our professor. But in this email, just the candidate sent email to only one professor. And in this email, another mistake is that there are much space. You don't need to put much space here. Just organize it like this. So these are the mistakes in these 2 emails. But in this email is very organized, no space, just. And also you should note that the title must be in inverted commas and the first letter of each word must be capital letter. This is how to search a professor. The question definitely raised in your mind, how can I search professor? Just search your interested universities and then search your department. For example, your chemistry department, then search faculty of chemistry in SKKU or Shinkyongpang University in South Korea. Then you will see all faculty members like this. So you can see that all details, phone numbers, email, laboratory websites, and introduction, research interest, everything is mentioned here. Just read these research interests and then find which research interest you want to work, and then just send email to professor. This is another example that this is a KAIST, another famous university in South Korea, the physics department. If you are a physics student, just search physics faculty in KAIST. Then you will see all details like this. It's very easy to find professor of your respective department. Now, I want to discuss about IELTS. IELTS are generally conducted by 2 organizing bodies. One is British Council and another is IDP. So mostly people are confused whether I should give exam in IDP or British Council. So it's not a confusing question. It's up to you whether you want to appear in British Council or in IDP, because there is the test pattern is same. So you don't need to be worried about that. So in IELTS, whether British Council or Australian Embassy, your test listening skill, reading skills, and your writing skills are checked, and patterns are completely similar. Listening skill The listening test is for 30 minutes, reading test for 60 minutes, writing test for 60 minutes, and speaking test mostly from 10 to 14 minutes. So in listening test, there are 40 questions. They are not long questions, just MCQs based, fill in the blank, and these things. There are you have to listen a audio, sorry, and each audio for each 10 questions there is audio. For first 10 questions there is audio. You have to listen, and then you have to give answer of those 10 questions. And after that, for another 10 questions, you need to listen another audio. So in this way, the first 10 questions audio is very easy, and last 10 questions audio is slightly difficult. And for the reading test, same 10, 40 question is like our listening skills. In this way, you have to read many passages, 2 or 3 passages, and give answer either in fill in the blanks or true, false, or MCQs based. But this test is very complicated test. It's not just like your university exam or your college exam. It's most difficult test. Writing is in writing test, you have 2 things are given if you are appearing definitely for academic, because IELTS have 2 types, IELTS journals and IELTS academic. So in IELTS academic, you have to write 1 essay and 1 report writing. And then speaking, the examiner asks different questions about your personal introductions, personal information, some discussion, and give some cue card to you to discuss about the cue card. So it's just for 10 to almost 14 minutes. And this is comparatively easy test, because you have to just prepare previously asked questions, and then you can just answer those questions. You try to give all questions in speaking test from 2 to 3 sentences. So in IELTS, the bands ranges from 1 to 9. So most of the famous universities in the world, they need 7 bands. And then some universities in UK and Australia, they need 6 bands. And their requirement is just like overall band 7.5 and no band less than 7. Or sometimes overall band must be 6.5 and no band less than 6. But in Korea, almost 6 band is okay. So if you are undergraduate student, then I would like to suggest you these 3 things. Just find some internships during your undergraduate program, and then get much better skills in your field. And then try to do some research with one of your university professor or assistant professor, associate professor. They must have some project, so that you can know how to publish a paper, how to do research work. And focus on your CGPA, which is most important. Your CGPA, if your CGPA is good, you can get good opportunity. Otherwise, it will be hard for you to find good opportunity. So I want to summarize today's talk. Search universities in your relevant department in South Korea, and then search professor and read his profile and give research article. Try to understand his research articles, and then write a good and attractive email to show your interest. Your CV should be concise and attractive. So scholarship is just like luck. Apply to as many places as possible and let the numbers work for you, because your probability will increase in this way. So I would like to say thanks to energetic management team of ISO Pakistan, because they organized this session, and all